Can life, in its most tenacious forms, endure in absolute isolation? What are the bare minimum requirements for survival? Today, we put that fundamental question to the test. Inside a seemingly simple glass jar, we're creating a closed ecosystem, a miniature world. We'll carefully create a miniature desert environment, mimicking the arid landscapes where life clings to every drop of moisture. Then, we'll seal it off completely, creating a closed system, a biosphere in a bottle. And then, we leave it undisturbed for 100 long days, a true test of endurance. Crucially, no water will be added throughout the entire experiment. The system is closed, and no fresh air will enter. It's a completely sealed environment, cut off from the outside world. It's a tiny, self-contained world, a microcosm of the larger ecosystems we see around us. The central challenge: will anything survive this silent, unforgiving trial by isolation? Can these plants adapt to a world without replenishment? Our chosen plants are desert veterans, species specifically adapted to thrive where water is scarce. We have the resilient Haworthia, known for its water-storing capabilities, and the classic cactus, a symbol of desert survival, armed with spines to minimize water loss. They are masters of survival, but even these hardy plants face a completely new kind of test within the confines of this glass jar. In their natural habitat, a rare rain shower or the reach of a deep root system might be enough to save them from the brink. But here, inside this sealed world, there are no such miracles to rely on, no external interventions. There's just a finite supply of moisture locked within the soil and a limited amount of nutrients to sustain them. The jar is now sealed, the environment is set. The countdown begins, marking the start of our 100-day experiment. Every single day will reveal something new about the resilience, or perhaps the fragility, of life trapped inside this glass world. We'll be watching closely, monitoring for even the smallest signs of change. Perhaps a leaf brightening unexpectedly, or a stem bowing under the weight of unseen stress, or even just a subtle shift in the overall color of the plant, indicating adaptation or decline. This seemingly ordinary glass jar is now a stage, a theater for a slow-motion struggle with the ultimate oblivion. What unfolds within this closed environment could potentially echo our broader understanding of how life can persist in the harshest places imaginable. Whether it's here on Earth, in the driest deserts, or even on other planets far beyond our own. Over the course of the next 100 days, we'll have the opportunity to witness the incredible survival strategies, the subtle adaptations, the ingenious mechanisms that these plants employ to stay alive against the odds. We'll be privy to the quiet, unseen battles of these humble organisms as they fight for their very existence. Every living thing, no matter how resilient, has a breaking point, a limit to what it can endure. And through this experiment, we're about to find out exactly where that boundary lies for these desert survivors. When the 100th day finally dawns and we open this jar to reveal its secrets, what will remain of this miniature world? The experiment begins now, and the journey into this sealed world has officially begun. Our desert world began with careful choices. We used coarse, sterile sand baked to remove all life layered into the jar to form a miniature landscape. 2 champions entered a Haworthia, with tough water-storing leaves, and a mammillaria cactus, armored in spines. These aren't just survivors. They're gladiators of drought. Each was planted with precision, roots shallow, just as in the wild. A thimbleful of water was added enough to start, but not to sustain. Too little, and they'd fail to establish. Too much, and rot would set in. The heavy glass lids sealed their fate. No more air, no more water. The water cycle was now closed, the world inside on its own. We placed the jar in indirect sunlight, enough for photosynthesis, not enough to overheat. The stage was set. The experiment had truly begun. Now only time would tell. To truly understand the challenge our desert plants face, we need to delve into the very nature of their environment. Consider the fundamental physics that govern a desert landscape. It's a harsh reality of scarce resources and relentless conditions. It's not just the scorching heat, but the relentless, pervasive dryness that defines this environment and shapes the lives within it. In this sealed jar, the water we initially added represents the totality of available moisture. It's a closed system, cycling endlessly as vapor, a constant state of flux. Some of that precious moisture is held within the sand, and crucially, a significant portion is stored inside the plants themselves, their lifeblood. Survival in this environment depends entirely on maintaining a closed, microscopic water cycle, a delicate balance of give and take. To achieve this, succulents and cacti employ a clever strategy: cam photosynthesis. They strategically open their pores at night, under the cool desert moon, rather than during the scorching day. This nocturnal gas exchange is a vital adaptation to minimize water loss through transpiration. They also store vast reserves of water in their thick, fleshy leaves, and in their swollen stems, acting as living water towers. Further enhancing their resilience, they possess specialized coatings that drastically reduce evaporation to the bare minimum necessary for survival. Their unique and varied shapes are not mere coincidence, but rather living monuments to water conservation, sculpted by the harsh desert environment. Built not for rapid growth or luxurious flourishing, but to simply endure the relentless conditions. Not to thrive in abundance, but to merely survive. Within the confines of this jar, there is no replenishing rain. They are limited to only the water they started with at the beginning of this experiment. And crucially, what they can meticulously recycle through their own internal processes. The sand's coarse grains provide excellent drainage. This prevents root rot, a common killer, but also means the sand holds precious little water for the plants to access directly. The balance within this miniature world is incredibly delicate. There must be enough light to fuel photosynthesis, but not so much that it overwhelms them, essentially cooking them from the inside out. There needs to be enough temperature change to encourage condensation, but not so much fluctuation that it causes undue stress on the plants. Science has meticulously set the stage for this experiment, but only the passage of time will ultimately reveal whether these ancient adaptations are truly enough to ensure their survival. The plant's fate is now inextricably tied to the intricate physics of their tiny, self-contained. Question is, will their time-tested ancient strategies be sufficient to overcome the challenges ahead? The test of time and survival has officially begun. Surface. By the second month, the initial novelty had worn off. The glass world was eerily still, a stark contrast to the vibrant activity of the first few weeks. The miniature ecosystem seemed to have reached a plateau. The daily condensation cycle continued, a reliable rhythm in this contained environment. But adaptation had given way to stasis. The initial burst of growth had ceased, and the plants seemed to be holding their ground. The plants looked unchanged, their outward appearance suggesting a deceptive stability. But resources were dwindling, slowly but surely. The closed system was beginning to show its limitations. Around day 40, subtle shifts began to occur. Cracks appeared. Not in the plants themselves, not yet, but in the sand, a telltale sign of increasing aridity. The dark patch of moisture around the Haworthia vanished, a critical warning sign. The sand was drying out, losing its capacity to sustain life. The plants now relied almost entirely on their internal reserves, a finite supply. The Haworthia's leaf tips turned reddish-brown, a stress response, a visual indicator of distress, a chemical shield against light, a desperate attempt to conserve energy, and a sign of water loss, a clear indication that the plant was struggling to maintain its hydration. The cactus remained stoic, its outward appearance betraying nothing. Unchanged on the outside, a master of disguise in the face of adversity. But cacti often hide decline, masking their internal struggles with remarkable resilience, until it's too late and the collapse is sudden and irreversible. The calm was deceptive. Beneath the surface, a battle for survival was raging. Tension was building, a silent pressure cooker threatening to explode. The system was under strain, pushed to its limits by the constraints of its artificial environment, the margin for survival shrinking, leaving little room for error. The month ended with a sense of unease, a premonition of what was to come. Failure whispered in the silent air, a constant threat looming over the fragile ecosystem. The first cracks in the facade, the initial signs of a system on the verge of collapse, had appeared, a stark reminder of the delicate balance required for survival. Would the plants endure, find a way to adapt to the increasingly harsh conditions? Or was collapse inevitable, a predetermined outcome in this miniature desert drama? The next phase would decide their fate. Day 50 brought drama, a rare event. Overnight, heavy droplets formed inside the jar, one rolling down to the Haworthia's base. For the first time in weeks, water returned to the soil, a miniature rainstorm. The Haworthia's stress colors faded slightly, a flicker of recovery. But hope came with a cost. The cactus developed a pale, soft patch. Rot, not drought, was the threat. In sealed worlds, trapped humidity can be as deadly as dryness. The event that saved one plant doomed the other. The jar was now a world of two fates, one revived, one in decline. The system was dynamic, dangerously unbalanced. Survival was no longer certain for either. The end was near. With wonder and new questions. What does it truly mean to endure? What did we learn from this 100-day drama? The cactus, a drought champion, fell to rot, not dryness. The Haworthia survived, sacrificing almost everything to protect its core. The system was unsustainable, but resilience shone through. Life clings on, even when stripped to the brink. The experiment became a parable. Closed systems are fragile, every part interconnected. The water cycle brought hope and doom. The death of one changed the fate of the other. Perhaps deserts aren't empty, but patient. Life waiting for opportunity. Our tiny survivor may yet thrive again, its ordeal just a chapter. If such endurance exists in a jar, what secrets lie hidden in the world's true deserts? The inquiry has just begun.